Good morning, children. So, here we are to discuss the last oral comprehension check and the questions given in thinking about the text. I hope now, if you have watched all the 4 videos and understood the chapter and the meaning of each and every line Nelson Mandela has tried to explain, you are capable of answering every question, and that too in your own words. I need not even help you if you have thoroughly gone through those videos and have properly understood. I again make a statement over here. If there is any line, any particular statement, any particular phrase that you haven't understood, you are free to ask it by sending a message at my personal number. Is that clear to everyone? So, oral comprehension check. What twin obligations does Mandela mention? Twin obligations? Obligations means you must first understand the meaning of obligation. Obligations means your duties and responsibilities. Every man in society, every man who is born has 2 obligations, twin obligations. That means his responsibilities and duties towards his family and his responsibilities and duties towards his nation, country, or the so-called society. So let's get back to the line where this statement has been made. So each man in life, look at page number 21. Okay? In life, every man has twin obligations. Twin obligations, the first obligations towards his family, his parents, his wife and children, and second obligation towards his people, his community, his country, his nation. These two twin obligations he talks about. Why does the question also gets framed over here? Why was Nelson Mandela or any other black person in South Africa not able to fulfill both his obligations towards his family and towards his people? So he says each man is able to fulfill those obligations according to his inclinations and society. Today we are living in a free society. We are able to fulfill our responsibility towards our family also, towards our profession also, and towards our nation also, according to our inclination and our ability. I am not rich, so I cannot support the nation in terms of money, but I can support the nation in terms of keeping cleanliness or following whatever the government wants from me as a citizen, to be a responsible citizen. But in a country like South Africa, it is impossible for a black person to fulfill both these obligations, because if a person who is black attempted to live a proper life, attempted to live a life, an honorable life, to be able to be a leader, to guide people, to motivate, to speak also, he was punished and isolated. Get it? That's why no black person was allowed to fulfill both these obligations in South Africa. Let's come back to the next question. That is, what twin obligations does what did being free mean to Mandela as a boy and as a student? How does he creates a difference between these transitory freedoms with the basic and honorable freedoms? See children, transitory means that keeps changing. Okay? So freedom that keeps changing according to our needs, according to our age, according to our thoughts. Today you are a kid, you want to eat chips. You want the freedom to eat anything you want. Tomorrow you become a teenager, you want the freedom to watch whatever you want without any restriction by the parents. But this freedom is totally different, completely contrasts with the basic and honorable freedom. What is the basic and honorable freedom of a man? The basic and honorable freedom of a man to be allowed to live a respectful and honorable life. Not to be treated as animals, but to be treated as human beings. This was what the blacks were not allowed. Contrast. So what did being free mean to Mandela as a boy and a student? Again, you can find the answer from the paragraph itself. Yes. So, as a student and as a boy. So, as a boy, he understood freedom to swim in the clear stream. He understood freedom means to swim in the river near my village. I am allowed. My father doesn't obstruct me in doing so. He allows me in doing so. To run through my village, to roam around anywhere as a boy. You are allowed that. But freedom doesn't mean that. According to a boy, freedom means let me roam around wherever I want. Let me dream and think whatever I wish. Okay, let me drive upon the backs of bulls. Let me enjoy my life. Okay, that is. So, boyhood freedom for Mandela was to do whatever he likes as a boy. To swim in the water, to ride on the bull, to run without taking permission from anyone as long as he pleased. But he says, and as a student, I wanted freedom for myself. What freedom does he talk about as a student? To be able to, here it is, to be able to stay out at night, read what I pleased, and go where I choose. And then he talks about the freedom I understood as a boy, the freedom I understood as a student. Both were not true freedom. That time I did not understand the real meaning of freedom. These all were transitory freedoms that keeps changing according to my mental level, according to what I want. These are selfish freedoms. These are transitory freedoms. So he says, how does he contrast these transitory freedoms with the basic and honorable freedom? He says these transitory freedom you can get once you are in your society, once you follow the rules of your society, blacks. Basic and honorable freedom is the right to equality. To do whatever the whites can, I also should be able to do. If they can be leaders, I can. If they can be teachers, why I'm always a servant? Why can't I be a master? Why can't I earn? If I'm capable of becoming the master, why I am not allowed? So to live a basic life as a human being and get a respectful and honorable life. Not to serve others, but to be capable of earning your livelihood in the way you are capable of. Okay, this is the difference between transitory freedom as a boy and a student and the basic and honorable freedom as a man, as a black man he understood. Clear? So you have to frame in your own words. But please understand these phrases. They can be asked in reference to context or in 2 marks questions. These are important questions. Even the oral comprehension check are important ones, my dear. They have been asked, they can be asked. Does Mandela think the oppressor is free? Why? Why not? No clear-cut statement over there. Oppressor is not free. Mandela thinks neither the oppressor nor the oppressed is free. The oppressed is bound by the chains, by the hurdles created by, difficulties created by the oppressor. But the oppressor is robbed of his humanity because he is a prisoner of hatred. He doesn't know the difference between wrong and right. He is being tied in the chains of only one mentality. You should rule, you should dominate, and others are your servants. So he is not free to think what is right and what is wrong. He is simply a prisoner of hatred. He is simply a prisoner of prejudice. Prejudice means judgment. पहले से किसी के बारे में हम judgment बना लें, he is like that and he has to live his life like that. Prejudice. So he is a prisoner of hatred, prejudice and narrow-mindedness. Broad-mindedness means all are equal because all have been given birth by God. And broad-minded is that. Narrow-mindedness because forefathers and ancestors told me whites are greater than the blacks. You have been told by somebody, that's why you have learned. You have no brain of your own. So you are again robbed of your humanity. You are not allowing others to live their life the way they want. That's why you are robbed of your humanity. So oppressor is also not free. He's bound by the chains of prejudice, hatred and narrow-mindedness. Is that clear? Okay, let's come back to now thinking about the text. Why did such a large number of international leaders attend the inauguration? What did it signify the triumph of? Such a large number of international leaders attended the inauguration actually to pay respect to the fact that equality, democracy and apartheid has ended. Equality and democracy have taken the place of this discriminating system of apartheid. To actually value this fact, to support the fact that we also support all are equal in this on this earth, in this world. Okay, to support this fact, basically they are becoming a witness to what they believe, equality of all the people all over the world. So to pay respect to this inauguration of the new system of society which believes in the equality of all its people. That's why all the international leaders had come there on the land of South Africa. Okay, why did they attend? To pay respect, to support the fact that we also are happy the apartheid system has ended and there is equality in your society. What did it signify the triumph of? It signified the triumph of justice, peace and human dignity. It's there in the lines of the book. Okay, it signified the triumph, that is victory of justice. Just means what is correct. So victory of what is right, victory of peace. Now there will be peace all over the world in the country South Africa because all are equal. Nobody wants to be equal to others. Nobody is spreading hatred all over. And human dignity, self-respect of human beings. It is the victory of self-respect. Clear? You'll be able to write this answer with the help of these explanations. Coming back to the second question, what does Mandela mean when he says he is simply the sum of all those African patriots who had gone before him? He means to say he is the sum of means he is thankful for the efforts of all these African patriots, all these leaders who had put in their efforts towards the freedom of the blacks, towards the upliftment of the blacks. It is I pay my gratitude, okay, my thanks to all these people who have put in their efforts, who have sacrificed their life, their happiness and completely died for bringing about this day in South Africa. Again I explain, he says it is the effort of one and one that resulted into 2. 1 plus 1, 2. Okay, so it is the effort of all these African leaders that resulted that today I, a black president, a black South African man, is becoming the president of South Africa, leading the taking the topmost position. So I am the result of their efforts. I am here because of the result of their efforts. So I am really thankful to them and I am really sad that they are not present today here to see what their sacrifices have wrought. Is that clear? Sum of all those African patriots. Would you agree that the depths of oppression create heights of character? That means how much under pressure you are you will be more strong. This is the meaning of this trait. The more stronger you will be, the strongest of men have faced the harshest of times because they know how to deal with those harshest times. Right? The poem Wind said the same thing. Depths of oppression create heights of character. You will be a strong individual if you face difficulties in your life because you know how to deal with those. Let's understand it through this story, through this chapter only. Would you agree that depths of oppression create heights of character? Yes. The more you have faced, the more pressure diamond, okay, undergoes. The more it undergoes pressure, it becomes a bright, shining diamond. Okay, pressure and time that make it so spectacular that it did not break under pressure. So Wind says, again the poem Wind says, if you give up in times of pressure, okay, when times hardships are there, you are not a true leader. You are not a true leader, but you become a man of great character who is honest, who never gives up, who faces and achieves his goals and his aims only when you have faced whatever time has given you. So it was really depths. That means lots and lots of hardships that these black leaders faced, that they become such strong individuals that they brought this day in South Africa, where there is system of democracy, system of equality, and the system of apartheid and racial discrimination has completely ended. Heights of character, a man who is never broken by any kind of selfish or greed offered to him. Okay, who is never broken by any kind of pressure of money. He is that honest, who never breaks under hardships, how much you beat him also, because he knows he is right. He faces all that and achieves his aim in life, achieves what he has thought of, the equality that these leaders brought about. So would you agree depth of oppression creates heights of character? Yet it is true, because these great freedom fighters of South Africa, equally alike the fighters of freedom fighters of India, it is such hardships that they faced that they became such great men who brought that day. Unlike those political leaders that today we see, selfish, greedy, and only want the leadership or want the seat, the power, at the cost of bribing people, offering them what they need, what they desire, fulfilling their desires. Okay. How does Mandela illustrate this? Can you add your own examples to this argument? Yes, Mandela illustrates this by giving examples of great leaders as Oliver Tambo, Walter Sisulu, this Bram Fishers, and all these great leaders who gave up their life in order to bring this day in South Africa. He illustrates through this. So first, in this answer, you will explain what does depths of oppression mean and heights of character mean. Then give example of diamond also. How depths of this can be asked for 8 marks also. It's a kind of value based only. Okay. Then you can give examples of diamond, give examples of wood, give examples of gold, all these. Okay. Even iron, that it is molded into different shapes only after facing those. Yes, and he has illustrated with the examples of these great leaders, and we can add our own examples. You can give the examples of Indian freedom fighters. Okay, Bhagat Singh, the name that occurs to my mind always. Next question is, how did Mandela's understanding of freedom change with age and experience? I am bringing that page forward so that you can write the answer. So Mandela's understanding of freedom changed with age and experience. So with age, when he was a boy, he never understood that he's not free. He thought that he's free in every sense to do whatever he likes, to play, to run, to be in the mud, or to ride the bull and all. So he never understood the real meaning of a freedom. He believed that as long as he obeyed his father, he's free to do everything. Later on, as a boy, as a student, he realized to be allowed to do whatever he wants, to read whatever he likes, to watch, to go out at night is freedom. But later on, with experience, he understood to live a life of self-respect, to live an honorable life, and to be able to live, earn in the way you are capable of in a society where the whites and blacks are discriminated and the blacks are not allowed to do certain things only because of their color. He understood that freedom means freedom not only for myself. I was selfish while I was thinking of all that transitory freedoms. Freedom means if people of my community are not free, means I am not free, and if I am not free, everyone is not free. So freedom means freedom to live an honorable and life of self-respect, which the blacks were not given. And he joined the African National Congress, which was working for the freedom and the upliftment of blacks. So this is how he changed. First he thought it this way, then he thought this way, and later on he actually understood freedom means freedom to be able to do what we like without being afraid of the so-called whites in our country. Right? How did Mandela's hunger for freedom change his life? Hunger for freedom, it was when he actually understood what freedom is. Okay? The answer is here, children. How did Mandela's hunger for freedom change his life? Mandela realized that when he understood the real meaning of freedom, the freedom of doing whatever want without being obstructed by anyone in a lawful life, when he really understood that it was not only his freedom that was being curtailed, but the freedom of everyone who looked like that, he understood, he had that hunger for freedom, he had that desire to be actually free in the real sense, that all my brothers blacks should be able to do everything that they are capable of. They should not always be servants of the whites and this treatment that they are getting. So Mandela's hunger for freedom changed him from a fearful man to a fearless man, to a bold and courageous Nelson Mandela. He sacrificed the comforts of his family. He was not able to live life like a normal man, spending time and enjoying time with his family, wife, children, brother, sister, nobody. And to live life like a monk, like a saint, all alone, fighting for the rights of my community, the blacks. That he joined, and he joined the African National Congress, and this changed him from a frightened black man to a courageous young leader and the president of South Africa, Nelson Mandela, who is taking the oath as the president of South Africa. Is that clear? So I'll be giving the extra questions also you have to solve, and in the next video we can discuss as well as. Now children, in the next we'll be studying the letter to the editor, how to write letter to the editor. Okay, this is in your syllabus, writing skills, so that I can give you some homework based on writing skills. Thank you. Have a good day.